Good.
Hi, welcome to the first Reimagining Retirement conversation. The objective of Reimagining Retirement is to, just inspire readers to think about retirement differently, to look beyond the culture and the career aspirations they had, and to imagine how their experience and skills and knowledge can be put to use, and to give us some options that we may not have thought about. So interviews with friends and family and other people who are considering retirement, who may consider themselves half retired, who have recently retired, and they're trying to work out what they're going to do next, and even folks that have retired a while ago and know what they're going to do next. These will all help us set our minds to live a more active, enjoyable, and purposeful retirement. So today, I'd like to introduce you to Janine, my good friend Janine. She and I have been friends since grade school. It's been a number of years. I won't even calculate how many because it'll be embarrassing. And actually, we still get together with high school friends every couple of months, which has been great. We've been doing that for years too. And Janine has graciously agreed to talk with us today about her experience, her multiple careers, her growth, and how she's transferred from one to another, and just to help us out and give us some ideas for things we might consider. So thank you, Janine, for agreeing to talk with us today, and welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Judy.
Yeah. So just to get us started, back in junior high, do you remember what your goals for a career were? I don't. My goals were seriously unthought about. I had no concept of what I would do eventually. So I wonder if you did.
Well, I didn't recall either, but my husband recently retired in March. And so we've been working on cleaning out our basement. And
Uh,
I found some old yearbooks and information from when we were in eighth grade. And it
yeah.
was a questionnaire on where we were going after we
Uh-huh.
graduated,
Uh-huh.
going into high school. And mine was, I found it interesting. I said that I wanted to work in an orphanage and
Oh.
help children. So, um, needless to say, I never worked in an orphanage, and I actually never had children. So I guess I had no clue what my
Yeah.
goals were going to be. All I know is when I got into high school, I wasn't a great student, and you were, but I was not a great student. I really didn't care for school that much, so all I was focusing on was getting through high school, getting out, getting a job, and moving on, and moving out of the house and buying a house, and those were kind of my personal goals. But yeah, so that's those were the only ones that I I recalled. So
Well, at least you had one. I said mine are
I
undecided. I had no idea.
well, no, and I'm always very impressed with people who do know
Yeah,
what they want to do at an
I
early
agree.
age. I have two nieces who at a very young age said, I'm going to be a teacher, and they're both teachers.
Yeah,
Another one said, I want to be a hairstylist, and she's a hairstylist, but they knew this like
yeah,
as children.
yeah,
And I never had
yeah.
that
Well,
feeling. So
I didn't either.
yeah.
Well, I happen to
Yeah,
know that you have had multiple careers and you've worked in
I
many
have.
different areas and different ways. So
Mhm.
tell us about the timeline, so to speak, of what you did and how you got from one career to another.
Okay. Yeah, it's a kind of summarize everything. But my first main real job was with Gould, and I worked for it was like inside sales support for a bunch of electrical sales engineers. And so I learned a lot about the corporate world. It was a very great place to work. It was, just lots of energy. And eventually I worked there probably about 7 years. And during that time, I found that I was really interested in the sales portion of it.
Mm.
So there was one of the engineers that was I became friends with while we were there, and he decided to branch off on his own and start a manufacturer's rep agency
Oh,
in the electrical industry field. So he asked me to come work for him as an outside salesperson, and I was a little terrified because I was like, "Well, I
yeah,
don't know, I don't know." He
yeah.
goes, "You've got the personality, you know the basics, you'll be fine." So he offered me a great opportunity, and I left and went with him, and I worked for him for probably 4 or 5 years.
Uh-huh.
And I liked outside sales. That's where I got my drive to do sales. But I wasn't excited about what I was selling. I was selling wire and fittings and
Yeah, yeah,
panel boards and
yeah.
things that I just couldn't, embrace and get excited about. So I happened to be telling that to another friend. We were on our boat one weekend, and I said, I like sales, but I really don't care for what I'm selling. And she said, well, I'm in outside sales for a bank, and it was for Chicago at the time. And she said, if you'd like, I can get you an interview. We're looking for salespeople. And I said, oh, well, I don't know anything about banking either. And she said, you don't need to. You don't need to. You'll learn, whatever. So I interviewed with the bank, and that was just the start of my favorite
Yeah,
career as I
yeah.
was going through. And so I was there 10 years, and then I left to go to another competitor. And I was there an additional 7 years. So did kind of the same outside sales work for a bank
Mhm.
for 17 years. And then '08 hit.
Yeah,
And as
yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
many people, excuse me, lost their jobs. And after going through many mergers and acquisitions, in the banking industry, I thought, okay, what I don't want to do is get another job with a bank
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
it had gotten
yeah.
tough. So I was offered a nice severance package, and at the time, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take some time for me. I'd worked a long time, so I took a year off and just kind of reevaluated what I wanted to do. And that's where life was really kind of, things really got strange. So um, I started spending more time up at our summer home,
Mhm.
and turned out that a friend of mine got ill, and
Mhm.
he worked at was a manager of a restaurant bar in the area, and needed to take time off for chemo and surgery. So the owner of the restaurant asked me to step in and tend bar for them. And I said, oh my God. And I had actually done that years before. So I said, sure, I guess I'll try it. So he said, it's only for 3 or 4 months till he comes back. And I said, sure, I can do anything for 3 or 4 months. So after 3 or 4 months, when he came back, and took his job back, I said, okay, I'm out of here. Boom, and they said, oh, no, 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 we want you to stay. So
You
I
made
ended up
yourself
staying
too
there for
valuable.
well, and I got to know so many people, and so it was really nice because then I met more people in the area of where our summer home was. So I stayed. I was probably there 3 or 4 years, part-time basis, of course. And during that time, another lady that I'd met up here bought the local newspaper. So I approached her and I said, just so you know, I said, my background is really sales. I'm not really a bartender. I said, if you need help with sales for advertising sales, let me know. And she said, oh, okay, thanks. But I think I got it. I'm going to try to do this on my own. And I'm like, good luck. So within a week, she called me. She's like, oh my God, I don't know how to do sales. Can you help me? And I said, sure. So, well, it's been 13 years, I think,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I still am doing that part time.
yeah, yeah.
So, I have a lot of part time jobs. So the bartending's left behind, and then I started. A neighbor approached me about selling granite and
Mhm.
uh, quartz for bathroom and kitchen remodeling up in the Michigan area. So I started doing that just on a part-time basis just to help him out.
Mhm.
So, as you can see, I've kind of gone from one thing to
Yeah, yeah,
another
yeah.
to another. But the part-time thing, I was devastated when in '08, I mean, I was 52 years old and I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm too young to retire.
Right.
And that's what kind of um, scared me. I was
Yeah,
like, what am I
yeah,
going to do now? And then things happen for a reason.
yeah.
So, and yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So that's kind of
Yeah,
where everything took me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I'm still working 2 jobs part-time right now.
Okay.
So,
And you
yeah.
you took care of you were a primary caregiver for your mother-in-law and your brother-in-law for years, weren't you? For
Yes,
many of those years.
yes, yes. Yes, my husband had a position where he traveled a lot, and so it's when I ended up losing my job, it's kind of it's kind of strange how I think the Lord works in mysterious ways because
Mhm.
um, I lost my job in '08. Um, I got to spend a lot of time at home, and my mother was thrilled when she found out I lost my job. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, good, you can spend more time with me." And she lived about 45 minutes away
Yeah.
from me. So I said, okay, Mom, I'll come once a week and help you with things. So I
Mhm.
once a week,
Mhm.
my dog and I'd pack up the dog and we'd go to my mom's and we'd sometimes spend the night, sometimes we'd just spend the day.
Mhm.
And I would do that while my husband was traveling anyways. And kind of suddenly in 2000, well, in 2009, my dog died of cancer. And in 2010, my mom died unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And so I had those 2 years that if I was working, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been spent any
Right.
of that time with my mother. So I now look back on it as somebody upstairs knew what I was supposed
Yeah.
to be doing. I
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be working full time and
Right.
not spending time with family and friends
Yeah.
and things of
Yeah.
that nature. So
Interesting.
that, and then right after that, I became a caregiver for, as you said, my
Right.
mother-in-law who became ill and she was in Michigan. So I really yeah, they suffered from Alzheimer's, and my mother-in-law and my brother-in-law, who was also Down syndrome. So he got it early. He was affected early in age,
Yeah.
and so took care of both of them. And they have both now passed in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So yes, besides working part-time, I have also
Yeah.
been a been a caregiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You
yeah,
were a caregiver quite a long time, if I remember
yeah,
correctly. Yeah.
yeah, it was probably about close to 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, total. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um,
Yeah. Lots of experience, you've had all kinds of experience.
mhm.
And so I was listening to your description of how you got from one job to another, and it seems like your community involvement kind of brought you those opportunities. Would you say that's true?
Yes, 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 absolutely. It was through, like I said, for starting at the bartending job and meeting a lot of people up
Mhm.
in this area. This is where I live full time now. I was in
Yeah.
Michigan, and um, I I became fast friends with the woman actually who ran the paper, and she actually sold the paper, but I
Mm.
stayed with the new
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unexpectedly, just this past May, she was a retail owner in the town here. She was had a beautiful gift
Mhm.
store where she would go to Bali every year, shop, and bring back
Mhm.
all sorts of treasures and
Mhm.
crazy things. And she had done that job for over 20 years and she passed away suddenly. And she was one
Mhm.
of my best friends here.
Yeah.
And so she had only a surviving sister who lived in Colorado, and she asked myself and another friend of ours to keep the store open this summer
Mhm.
until we ran out of merchandise. And
Right.
uh, happily saying we did that for her. And I know that Dee Dee was guiding us the entire time because
Mhm.
neither of us had run a retail store before. That I've done sales my whole life, but
Yeah.
it was funny that
Mhm.
in my whole you know, uh, here, my little resume, I never did retail sales.
Interesting.
So now we can add that to
Yeah.
it. And managed in retail and managed a retail store. So even though it was short time, we only did it for 4 months, but we did it. She had a full store of merchandise, and it just, it was a sudden heart attack. And so it was
Um,
very much a shock, and it's a
yeah,
great loss to our community.
yeah,
So, and I have helped other groups in the town through my working for the paper. I can also promote things for
right.
charities and
Mhm.
things of that nature. So I'm able to send journalists out to places that need
Yeah,
coverage and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
need things. So yeah, so I have kind of really cemented myself here. So
Hmm.
it's been good. It's
Yeah,
been good.
yeah. It's interesting to listen to. Just I've known all this, or sort of known it, but just to listen to your
Right.
comments, it's interesting how many relationships have led you to another career or a job or a different job,
Right.
and you've been open to any of it, and I give you a
Right.
lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. I'm not one to sit around and not do anything.
yeah,
So, when somebody says you want to do this, I said, "Oh, I'll try
sure, yeah, yeah,
it." Yeah, sure, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So,
you've been
yeah.
busy. Yeah.
Yes, I
So
have been busy.
yeah, that's good. Do you
Hmm.
consider yourself retired, or, well, no, you're still working part-time at least.
So now the store is done, so we're done there. I'm pulling back on the granite and all that. I'm trying to slow down because my husband's retired now, so we would like to do a little bit more traveling. And the newspaper I can still do from remotely, so
Yeah.
I'll keep doing that. But I don't consider myself completely retired.
Mhm,
I would say semi-retired,
mhm.
um, and not to fear it. It's like,
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do, but
right.
something happens, something falls in your lap, or,
Yep.
just through talking to other people,
Mhm,
finding things.
mhm.
Not that I want to take on any more jobs. I'm
Yeah, something
trying.
tells me maybe you will, but who knows?
I don't know. We'll see. But I'm trying to just try to get my life more organized now. I
Yeah,
feel like my summer was just crazy with trying to. I had too
yeah,
much on my plate in the summer,
yeah,
so I'm trying to just get my life back in order.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Do you have any advice for those considering retirement, new in retirement?
Um, I would say don't panic, because when I
Mm,
when I first, like in '08, when I lost my job, I was like panicking, like, oh my God, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do? And jobs will find you, you
yeah.
know,
Okay.
or you will, you know, pray about it and see what happens, reach out to people, if you're looking for something,
Mhm.
uh, because I think it's hard to go from working full time to
Yeah,
just nothing. I
yeah,
think
it
that's I
is.
think that's I think that's really tough. My husband's working on that right now because
Mhm.
he's plenty busy now, but I think he's going to get bored and will need
Yeah,
something. And it's hard to find that, but
yeah.
I feel like he will, and I was able
Mhm,
to do
mhm,
that. So
mhm.
you know, just keep the faith.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And thank you so much for just sharing your experience. Um, and you've had a an interesting career life, I think. And I'm just give you credit for being open to whatever came your way. And you've done it all successfully, and God bless you.
Oh, well, thank you. And you've been a wonderful friend and were there for me when, when I needed to vent, and I appreciate that as well. So,
We all need to vent sometimes, don't we?
yes, we do. We do. Yes, we do. All right.
All
Thanks,
right,
Janine.
Janine. Well, thank you so much. And
All right.
I'll see you next time we get together.
Sounds good. Take
All right.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.